Good evening, humans. Tyrannosaurusmoth here, and tonight we're taking a look at the TMNT Ultimates slash figure from Super7. This is a figure that I have been waiting for since they announced the TMNT Ultimates line, and I have got to say, it does not disappoint in any way, shape, or form. This is literally top tier for this line and possibly turtle figures as a whole. So yeah, let's talk about why. Let's do this. Aesthetically speaking, this figure is, and I do not say this lightly, damn near perfect. Every update that should happen has occurred here, and just all of the nostalgia hits and the main visual beats that you need for Slash, in my opinion, are absolutely present. And the first thing is the colors. Like this particular shade of green with a like magenta slash purple and black is just burned into my brain. One of my favorite figures from youth, and they just totally just brought it. I think in my mind's eye, it's slightly, the green maybe slightly lighter. I have the like 25th anniversary reissue of Slash here where you can see it's a little bit lighter, but I mean, that is minor to me. Like this still, again, just hits all of those beats perfectly despite that. And yeah, just like there's so much detail going on everywhere. This feels like a true homage to that original line where there's just so much going on, but it didn't feel overwhelming. And you can even see that here on the belt. Like we have a flashlight here at the back, and you know there are ports for various of his accessories, which we'll get into in the next section. Some of the updates that I think are perfect here is just, again, kind of keeping the belt with that magenta tone, and then adding the silver to the skull and crossbones, adding the silver to the actual like forehand blades, like just absolutely beautiful and recreated very well. You can see the shell details just like spot on, really good. And again, the shell details is another thing that kind of stuck out in my head, so I'm just so happy to see that in this form. The chunkiness is like on point. Just a really impressive figure. I cannot wait to just put this on my shelf with the rest of my turtle figures. When it comes to accessories, Super7 spared no expenses. They normally don't, so let's jump right into it. First thing we're going to actually look at is the sprue we get with all of the weapons just kind of on here in that just plain magenta plastic. Looks absolutely beautiful. Great wood grain and ties and stuff like that. Just tons of character, as you would expect. So beautiful work there. Then let's get into the specifics. So let's actually start with the heads. And right off the bat, we get the classic head, which is mimicking, again, that old school figure. You know, the teeth have been filled out a little bit more, which is pretty cool, and just still looks just as vicious. And I'm definitely a fan of that. Then we get an alternate head, which is more of a closed mouth, more kind of gritting, ready to get into the fight. And you know, I love this head sculpt as well. Like, you know, honestly, I can't decide which one I like more, and that is the sign of just really well designed accessories. So there's that. Then we get several sets of hands. So right out of the box, we get gripping hands with a vertical vertical hinge. Then we get a couple of fists, fully painted. Then we get a couple of grips with a horizontal hinge. And finally, we get some posed hands, which look excellent and are very much in line with what we got with the other turtles. Then we get into weapons, and there's a lot. So first off, we're getting three shurikens. One is kind of our just standard star shape, nothing really kind of elaborate about it. And then we get the couple of more stylized versions that we see on the belt of the original figure. It's beautiful silver plastic. Then we get into other stuff that goes for the belt. So we get a couple of grenades. Love the paint they use. This is nice dark metallic green for the body of the grenade, and then just again the silver, and we got some grips here. It's just fantastic sculpt. A lot more work than needed to go into this, and you know, I'll always appreciate it, especially from Super7. So there's that. Then we get his mace, fully painted. So we see the magenta plastic is our base, and then we got some nice spikes in there, even where he would grip it. So that's pretty brutal. Excellent sculpt overall. You can see there's some knots in the wood. We got the wraps kind of painted in a black, and then we get the silver head of it, and we get some more black paint at the base for the tie off. And then we get the nunchucks, and the same thing, magenta plastic with a lot of silver paint. Looks excellent, and yeah, it is pliable in the middle, so you can move those around, which is always good. Then we move on to the very large dagger. I've always loved this design. It's so great to see it with the actual silver applied to it. The original figure, this does not fit in the left hand. Here it does, so I'm very happy about that. So I think that's kind of a good kind of come around, certainly for me as a fan of this character slash figure. Then we get the standard dagger, so that really crooked blade, which is what was translated into the arcade version, Turtles in Time version of Slash. I will tip at the end, so it's really well done. Again, the last sculpt on the wraps itself. And then we get something we didn't get with the original figure, which is a longer version of that, more of a sword. And same thing, just the kind of crooked blade with the T at the top, same wraps, and just really well done. So that's accessories. Moving on to articulation, figure feel, and balance. Like, never in a million years did I expect this figure to hold a freestanding front kick with no assistance, but here we are. Just unbelievable. Clearly they have fixed the kind of looseness in the hip joints, and I am here for it. So let's break down all the specifics from top to bottom as we do. So we are on a very thick ball joint for the head, and we get a wonderful amount of range. So we're getting up about that much, down about that much, and we get some really nice side to side. So really well done. And of course you can rotate that as well. Come to the shoulders, we are hinge and swivel. We are coming up, hitting 90. We have bicep swivel. We have single jointed elbows, bringing us to just about 90. Again, very much on par for the TMNT Ultimates. We have hinge and swivel at the wrist. Again, default is our vertical hinges, but we do have horizontal hinges on most of the hands. We come to the diaphragm, not really anything there. Then we come down to the waist, and there's a little bit of turn there, but not so much here. I don't know if there is actually separation there. So not too much movement there, but again, those hips getting pretty much full splits, and the joints are nice and tight, so can't ask for more than that. That also gives us our thigh swivel. We of course have a single jointed knee, not quite hitting 90. That part's a little bit sad, but again, amongst everything else, not really an issue. We have perfect point. We have very, very, very good forward, and some absolutely insane rocker. And then finally, we actually have an articulated tail. This I did not expect. Just swivel, but still really well implemented. And yeah, so that's there as well. So that's articulation. Getting into size comparisons, here he is with the other Slash figures I currently have in my collection, with some other TMNT Ultimates, with some Hasbro and Mattel, with some imports, with some monsters. Finally, with an Articulated Icons Oni, and yours truly in human form as an Articulated Icons Ninja. So my final thoughts on the TMNT Ultimates Slash figure from Super7 is that this is an unbelievably good figure. Like, honestly, perfect update to the classic figure. And you know, I know I was very exuberant about the Leonardo figure in terms of that, and you know, I think this honestly tops that. This is easily top 10 of the year for 2022, like no question. And just, yeah, I cannot recommend this enough. Certainly if you are an old school TMNT fan, if you're collecting the Ultimates line, if you are just a fan of Slash in general, you owe it to yourself to pick up this figure. Just so good in pretty much every regard. So with that being said, I will be putting links in the description below for where you can pick yours up if you are interested from some of my favorite online retailers. And yeah, beyond that, I hope you found this review informative and somewhat entertaining. If you did, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and or sharing. If you want to take it to the next level and help me even more, which I appreciate greatly. Ways to do so will be listed at the bottom of that description. So please check that out. And all of that being said, I hope you take care of yourself, take care of those around you, and most importantly, stay weird, simians.